lot to go through.
Wearing your perfect shirt again?
I don't know if I wore it.
You wore it last time.
Did I?
Yeah. It's gonna look like you never changed.
Yeah,
Pancake
I've been
doesn't
working.
change.
I've been working so hard. Um. uh. What was I gonna say? So, this week, Lent. What was the Lent idea? What are we giving up for Lent, Mother? Or what are we
I'm
doing?
not sharing. That's my own personal thing, but I did learn some stuff. Apparently, I'm supposed to be fasting as well as abstaining on Fridays up until the age of 59. Yes!
Yeah.
Just figured it out. I mean, I knew there was
Positives.
fasting involved, but I never really fasted. And then, actually, as a young person who did a thing on YouTube, he said, yeah, technically. But I also learned this too. Sundays, you don't have to do whatever you said for Lent. Sundays is a day, it's not a day of like repairing your relationship or whatever.
Yeah.
Sunday, because it's the Sabbath, you don't have to do your whatever your Lenten thing is that you give up. Never heard that, never knew that, but apparently that is true. Some of my peers who went to Catholic school said, "Oh yeah, that's always been true."
Really? Um.
Yeah,
So did
so you
Dad
can
tell?
swear on Sundays.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding.
Did Dad tell you? I told Dad what he should give up for Lent or what he should do for Lent, but he said he's not going to do it. So he told me to bring it up to you to see if it's worth doing. You ready?
What was it?
Have you? So I've been doing some research. I don't want to do it here because I feel like my neighbors would think I'm a crazy person. But you have a backyard, so you could do it. Have you ever heard of
I'm loving that
grounding? There's a lot of
Grounding?
grounding. There's a lot of studies on this, and I was like, I should see if Mom wants to do it. But
Oh, he did tell me.
yeah,
Walking around without shoes
yeah,
on.
grounding. You're supposed to walk outside without your shoes on first thing in the morning, like it's foot to earth
Okay.
connection. There's a lot of health benefits of doing it. Allegedly, listen, it sounds like one of those yogi things, but I mean, apparently, here, let me pull up real fast. Health benefits of grounding. So, I think the concept is humans were never really designed to be wearing shoes and like live in structures. So, it reduced inflammation and pain. Grounding may act as an antioxidant by neuralizing free radicals. Okay, whatever. I don't need the details,
Neutralize.
but
Yeah.
I don't think. No, not neutralize. Oh, yeah, it is neutralizing. What did I say? Naturalizing, probably.
I don't know. You
Reduced.
watched it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm tired. Reduced inflammation and pain, improved sleep quality, stress reduction and mood enhancement, better cardiovascular health, enhanced immune function and wound healing, increased energy levels, improved heart rate variability. Those are like the main ones. If that works, you're the test dummy, Mother. When
Well, I think it only is as good as the earth that you're walking on. If I'm walking on Chernobyl, I don't think I'm gonna be healthy with
Yeah.
bare feet.
I don't think it works that way, but I don't know.
But
They
I'm
don't
not.
really
You
say.
know, I'm not a big shoe person. I don't like. I'll wear shoes or no shoes. I don't like socks. I don't. I'm never big about walking. I think because as a kid, when I would wear socks around the house, I was always sliding because we had shiny hardwood floors. So I was always
I
barefoot.
think you mean marble
And
floors.
no hardwood, the shiny hardwood floors.
It's not
When I
Himalaya.
say
I
marble.
could have sworn it was Himalayan marble.
Oh,
Whatever.
from the palazzo that I lived in. You're right. So anyhow, I never I just don't like that feeling. So I am usually barefoot. That's why I love Uggs because I don't have to wear socks.
I used to be more of a barefoot person, but now I'm a slippers person. Like I don't like walking around
Yeah.
on floors. Also, my floors, as you know, like they kind of like it's not possible to clean them. Like when you walk barefoot on my
Yeah.
floors, that you still get that grime. You can clean it for hours. You can't.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Well, and
always
you
wear
wear
my slipper
socks a lot
socks.
too, though. Even with slippers, you wear socks.
Yeah, I don't like barefoot to shoe because I find that kind of gross.
Yeah, and, I'm like that too. But then I opt not for shoes because I don't like the socks.
Ew.
So the best for me, like I said, is the Uggs. My slippers, I
Yeah,
don't
now that I
wear
think
socks.
about it, I don't think I've ever seen you wear socks. I never
No,
thought
I'm not a
about
big sock
that.
person. Don't like
Um,
wearing socks around the house.
yeah, I'm just
Dad
working on
doesn't
my
either,
new
though. He
habit.
usually puts shoes on. You know, he usually has his sneakers on. Or
Yeah,
slippers
that
like you.
bothers me though. I don't know what's. I would rather barefoot around the house than just sneakers. Sneakers around the house drives me nuts.
Well, I just read an article today about how to keep your house clean, and the first thing they say is don't wear your shoes in the house.
Yeah, Of
The
course.
Asians all leave their shoes. Even if you're a guest, you leave your shoes either outside or right by the door
Mhm.
because you don't want to truck the dirt in and everything. But we've got Mr. Puppy, so it's a moot point. He's
Yes,
always
puppy.
trucking dirt
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Uh, but like whenever I see Dad on the carpets with his shoes, I'm like, Dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He's
that one drives me
we're
up
big into
up a
that.
wall. Um, for me, I'm just working on my nails for now, and then I'm cutting out sweets for the 40 days.
That's good.
But
That's good.
I might have to trade out. Today we're gonna go celebrate Brooke's birthday because it's Thursday, but her mom's here.
Yeah.
Amy. So I might go. I'm sure they're gonna have something. So
Yeah.
I'll treat tomorrow or today as my Sunday, and then tomorrow I'll cut out the sweets.
Well, you're still not supposed to go hog wild on Sunday. It's just, have a little piece. Don't have your usual large piece.
Well, no, I'm completely cutting sweets in general for the 40 days of Lent. But if I get
I thought
my
you said you have something today. It's her birthday.
yeah, but you
right, or
said on
something?
Sundays, the speech just gave
Well, I mean,
everyone.
going forward, right? But what I said Sundays you don't have to, but I don't think you're supposed to go hog wild on Sundays. It's like when people have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
cheat
yeah.
day when they're dieting. It's the same kind of concept. You're not supposed to go
Yeah,
hog wild. You put all the weight back on.
problem is I've been having 10 years of cheat days, Mom.
I know, right? Tell me
So
about
I gotta reel it in a little bit more, especially because we have the wedding in 2 weeks, and now I have to.
What's that word they call it? Oh, discipline. They have a word for it. It's called
No,
discipline. Willpower is kind of like a synonym for it.
I know Dad's not laughing at me in the background there. You better
No,
not
I
be
don't
laughing
like
at me in the
that.
back.
He just walks around. Dad was doing his feet thing outside, he said.
Oh, he's
Made him laugh.
grounding.
Yeah. He's grounding outside.
Good one, Dad.
He's grounding in the workout room in the basement.
What was I saying? So I'm trying that. I'm cutting out as much as I can, and then yeah, everything else has been pretty good. I've been doing this thing with the
Oh, good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty wet, but let me tell you, it feels very weird just going like this all day. It's a very weird
You
feeling.
don't do it all day.
I don't do it all day, but like 3
You
times.
just get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just put your fingers in it, and you get
Yeah,
that.
I'm also
taste of
amazed
it.
by how fast it dries. Like it's already
Yes.
dry. I'm like, whoa. So I don't know how long this thing lasts. I don't know how wet it's supposed to be, but works really well. So
It's not meant for that, but
Yeah.
people have used it for that. But
I know it's like a nail
know what?
polish remover, but
it comes down to just do it. Stop talking
that's really
about
what it is.
Stop planning. Just do it. Enough already.
yeah,
You've been doing this for how many since you were in high school? Aren't you
way
tired of
longer
it?
than that.
Well, that and the dieting stuff.
Yeah, I
If
guess
you're
that's
not
true.
going to do it, then stop talking about it because nobody wants to hear it anymore.
I'm going vegan. I have to
Yeah.
talk to people about it. I have to
No.
tell the world.
Well, it's fine, but just do it. Stop talking and just do it.
Someone at the gym was telling me they did vegan for 6 months or vegetarian for 6 months, and he was like, it was nice. I lost a lot of weight. He was saying it was 230, got down to 180, but he had
Yeah.
no energy. Like he would just sleep all day. I was like, yeah, because vegetarian sucks.
Yeah, I think you have to eat certain protein type
Yeah,
vegetarian.
the amount of vegetables you have to eat to equal like one piece of meat is astronomical.
Well, no, you can eat there are certain things you can add to your diet that give you the protein, like the nuts and stuff. There's certain ones that give you
Yeah, but you have to
protein.
look at how much. There's things that give you protein, but the amount you'd have to eat in order to eat like one piece of steak it's insane.
Well, yeah, but as a vegan, you don't have to cut. They don't cut it out completely. But,
Vegan and
how
vegetarian
many,
is different though.
how many vegans do you see who aren't pasty white?
Yeah, there's no such thing as a jacked vegan. Like it doesn't
They don't
exist.
usually glow when you see them.
Now, problem is David O'Dwyer is a vegan, and he's gonna be like, I'm jacked. Well, Dave's also taking things, so doesn't count. Sorry, Dave. Get called out, buddy. Even though you talked
what?
about it on the podcast.
We eat too much. We eat too much meat anyhow. We don't need that much as humans.
Red meat.
And
Red meat's a big one.
Conversely, when you see all these dog foods now, the fresh stuff and all these pet things that you can buy that's in the refrigerator,
Right.
I read a long time ago, vets used to say, dogs are carnivores. They don't eat vegetables. They don't need it. They need proteins. That's
Yeah.
what their body breaks down and whatnot. So a lot of the fillers that they give dogs don't need fillers. It's just cheap dog food to give them something to eat. So really the best diet is like the old days where they throw a steak to a dog, that pure protein.
Yeah.
And a bone.
Well, I was talking about this with when I did that gingerbread thing with Jordan.
Yeah,
That lady, she makes her own food for the dogs. Her dog had
yeah,
cancers, had all this stuff. Started making pure food, just made from like
yep.
completely. I don't want to say healed, but you know what I mean. Like the cancer symptoms went down, a
Yeah,
lot
it
of things
makes them
went down.
healthier.
Yeah. So dog food itself, before all that existed, you didn't have dogs dying from cancer at the age of 3. Like you didn't have all these illnesses and stuff that dogs are starting to get, right? When was it?
Well, it's a couple things. A while ago, you never knew. Like they put dogs down for you didn't try and treat a dog that got really sick when they were 3.
Yeah.
People would just put the dog down and get another one. Nowadays, we don't do that. We have medical intervention. People didn't do
Right.
that like when I was little. And also they say a lot of the things we now give dogs, such as the heart medicine and flea and tick medication. Our dog was on the anti-itch stuff, which I actually took him off of that, believe it or not. Um, those affect their joints and their other
Right.
body parts because I have to have blood work done for Bo when he was on the Apoquil. And then finally I said, you know what? Does he really even have an allergy? And he's been on it for like 10, 11 years. He'll be 12
Right.
next month. So, I don't want to say we overdo it with dogs, but part of domesticating them, you don't want your dogs to get heartworms. So you got to give them the heartworm pills.
Right.
But really, they're not eating raw food outside. They're not eating things that would contribute to them getting heartworms. So it's so
Right. But
weird.
also, like growing up, how many dogs did you know tore their ACLs?
You didn't.
Yeah. So now we know. I think every dog we know, except for Finley, has torn his ACL.
But they've all been on these heartworms, and there's
Right.
some
So
holistic
do the
vets who say,
benefits?
right,
Yeah.
these things aren't helping them. And as a matter of fact, it might be making the joints weaker. It might not be the best thing for them. You can make that argument, and then you say, well, why am I giving him heartworm? Well, dogs used to drink out of ponds. They used to eat out of
Yeah.
garbage. If your dog isn't really, I mean, our dog eats better than some humans. Like, why am I really concerned about heartworm? I mean, I will keep doing it because
When my mom says that, she means the dog eats better than she used to feed us.
that's
That's
true.
what mom said.
Partially true. Partially true.
Yeah. Well, what was I gonna say? Damn it. I was gonna
Oh,
make
and
a joke
dogs are
about this.
heavier too, and that contributes to the joint problems.
Right.
Dogs used to get table scraps if they were lucky.
Yeah. Um. I mean, cats are probably the same way, but cats are so small you don't really see them. Like you don't really hear about cats having too many health issues, except for my neighbor's cat has an inhaler. It's like an asthmatic cat.
Oh wow,
Right? So they have to give him this little inhaler all the time. His name's Chunk. You can probably guess why.
Chunk.
Chunk. So
Well, when your uncle's dog was watching, and your aunt was walking me through what she needs. One of the things is an inhaler, and you got to watch inside because you got to make sure she's breathing because the little thing goes up and down. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I mean, it keeps the dog alive. If they need it, they need it.
yeah. All right, Mom, you ready to get started? Just because it's a busy day for
Yeah.
both of us today.
Go ahead.
Let
Go
me.
ahead.
I think the biggest one to start with, which kind of was the big news yesterday, I think, maybe 2 days
Big
ago.
news? I
Yeah.
don't know what.
The Supreme Court overturned Trump's tariffs, right? So this was something that we kind of had a gut feeling could happen. I know they ruled 6-3 that his tariffs were unlawful. What ended up happening was Amy Coney Barrett the actual deciding factor, but I thought it was 6-3, so that means that. Okay, the Democrats, really, right? Which we knew was going to happen. We knew that the Democratic ones were going to say no, but a little surprised on the Republican side, right? So Amy Coney Barrett ended up voting they were lawful.
No, that he was not under the particular rule that he was using, like the I.e.E.P.P. or I.E.P.P. meaning emergency type of tariff, that he did not have the authority. And as Justice Kavanaugh pointed out in his dissenting opinion, that there's plenty of other avenues he could use, and immediately Trump threw down 15% tariff.
Right. So that was the question. I think a lot of people think that this was out of spite, that he was just like, you know what, I'm just going to keep adding a tariff. Basically, all he did was do the same thing and then just put it under a different rule, right? So basically, Kavanaugh was like, well, you can't do it this way, but you can do it this way.
Right, because
Right. Right. So does this mean that right now, until this gets passed, because I saw that it has to go through a Senate, are the tariffs just done right now, essentially, until this gets passed through? Oh, okay. So you didn't have to do it. Orders. Right. So there's other ways of doing it. It's just that the way he did it the first time wasn't exactly lawful and constitutional. Right. Right. So how fast? I know this is an executive order. So right now, I, I saw that something has to go through a Senate. Right. What is it that has to go through the Senate? Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Mm. Gotcha. All right, so we're gonna kind of parlay more into Trump news a little bit. So we have the rising potential war against Iran. So I don't know if you saw, but Iran has been making some threats to America, I guess you would say, which is or could say. And then Trump just moved a lot of boats over there, like a lot of warships in their sea, in their airspace. Well, I shouldn't say airspace, but like in the vicinity to shoot airspace things, right? And then now we have the leader of Iran posting to Twitter like crazy. Oh, we'll just bomb it or we'll take them out of the water. Now, I also didn't realize because I saw a whole little documentary on it. I did not realize how hard it is to sink a warship. It's not like movies. It's not like, oh, that one missile. I saw something that apparently a couple years ago, uh, they were using a decommissioned boat just to see if they can sink a U.S. warship, and it took 4 days of constant bombardment to actually knock this thing down. And the only way that they actually ended up blowing it up is explosives on the inside. That was the only way to sink this thing. So, unfortunately, that kind of leads you to believe that the weapon that this Iranian leader is talking about is a nuclear warhead, because that seems to be the only thing that could take out a U.S. warship, apparently. So, yeah. So, the problem with that isn't this whole thing, the whole point of this, to kind of pressure them to stop doing nuclear research? Otherwise, what's the point of all this?
Well, we did a lot of damage to the nuclear program, supposedly,
Right.
that we bombed that ended the conflict, stopped the conflict with Israel. But they're having a civil war there in Iran right now, and the Ayatollahs and the regime is slaughtering. Somebody said 40,000 people who have been
I thought all this was pretty much done at this point. I thought they came to some kind of conclusion. Okay, so it's still going. This whole.
Oh yeah, there's still people trying to take over to overthrow the regime. They just don't know what they want. They don't want a shah. They don't want to go back to the monarchy, and it's a repressive regime. They're murdering people in the streets. And I just saw. I was trying to find it while we were talking. A journalist at the UN, who was the Security Council, went off on them. She's let me say, she's somewhere in the Middle East. She's a journalist, but she went off. She goes, you invited these people into the Human Rights Council. They just killed 40,000 people. We have two people here today. The woman lost her eye because she was shot in the face.
It's a.
The woman was brutalized. And you want to have these people decide the human rights around the world?
Yeah.
Council, like, that's insane.
Right. That's the one that Trump made, the peace group, right?
No, this is under the UN.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But I thought Iran was under the. I have to relook at that.
Started the Board of Peace. I think Trump started the Board of Peace.
That's a crazy one to mess up.
I know.
That's
Sorry,
a crazy one to mess.
I don't know. You have to check when you edit.
Yeah, that's what.
I said that.
Yeah, that's a crazy one to mix those two up. But go ahead.
Just that I think they have started. They've convened once. I don't know the whole program. I don't know what they're doing over there. Every now and then I hear something about how somebody wants to invest in Gaza. And the Israelis will say, no way is Gaza getting any sort of blah, 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 military, whatever. And you have to remember, always the background is this. Iran lives to annihilate Israel off the face of the map. That's their existence.
But I think you can also make the argument now that Israel's kind of trying to decimate Palestine. So it's kind of, I don't know if you can make the same...
they're a threat to their very existence. So the Palestinian area is subsidized by the Iranians through the Al-Qaeda's and the terrorist organizations. So that's how they say, oh, we have nothing to do with it. But they make no bones. They're perfectly fine. That's their mantra. They hate America, and they have no problem wiping Israel off the face of the earth. That's why they want their nuclear weapons. That's why it's a threat to Israel, and that's why Israel is our ally. And we make it very clear you're not going to do that. On top of that, we like to foster democracies around the world. If we see a theocracy falling and the citizens want to have more representation, just like communists like to go into other parts of the world and implant their ideals, America wants to do the same wherever we can help people. But we want to draw a line. I saw a statistic where they asked a cross group of American citizens, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, do you support a regime change in Iran? And it was a very high percentage. But then they said, would you support it if Americans had to die? And it went down. Would you support it if, 10 Americans had to die and it went down? So everybody supports it, but we don't want to be involved in it. It's a great thing
Right.
if we could get rid of this, terrible nuclear theocracy and put in somebody that the rest of the world can work with.
Hmm. Gotcha. Um, so, how close? Like, how do you think this ends? Does this go to another? Like, I feel like we've kind of been on the, um, ooh, just got pen ink on me. I feel like we're kind of on the brink of that. Like, we've definitely. I will say this: whether you like or don't like Trump, he's done a very good job at getting us just to the line before a war starts. Right, like preventing these wars. I mean, I guess you
Yeah.
could make the argument maybe he got whatever. That's besides the point. But we haven't had any wars. How close are we to getting to a full scale war pretty soon? Like not really a World War III,
Well,
but to the point where America has to start getting involved
I
with U.S.
believe this
soldiers.
president, to his credit, which we've lacked for a very long time, is peace through strength. We've for too many years we've had this stupid notion it didn't work. Well, if everybody's equal, we won't fight each other. Baloney. We took a step back through diplomacy, through trade deals, through everything, thinking, all right, well, if we empower some of these people that feel threatened by us, they'll want to work with us and be peaceful. No, no, that didn't happen. What always works is peace through strength. And I think he understands, and most people in this country, they don't want to admit it. I'll say mostly the liberal side. Oh, you don't want to do that. Who are we to push ourselves on other nations? Well, sometimes we have to, right? When they're a threat to our allies and whatnot. Oftentimes, that's all it takes is to be strong. And that's his whole point. And that's why I agree with him. Financially strong, economically strong, militarily strong,
Right.
ideologically strong, border strong. When you have that, what gets the rest of the world crazy is the fact that they're jealous of the United States, or they always were. And they want what we have, but they don't want to agree, they don't believe in borders and whatnot. Now, Western world is so overrun by non-citizens. I don't know if
Yeah.
Europe is ever going to change, and we're trying to fight to maintain our strength, our military strength, and they call that, oh, nationalism, like that's a bad thing. So in times like this, I firmly believe we've dismantled their nuclear program, right? We know from the Secretary of the Treasury that the mullahs have been sending their money, the Ayatollahs, I should say, have been sending their money out of Iran. The citizens of that nation, God bless them, are rising up because it's a brutal regime, right? A woman is beaten if her head's not covered in the street. Nobody likes to talk about that with all the lip subs when they're kafifas, when they're at the universities. Little do they know that if they took that off in public in one of these places that they're standing up for, they would beat the crap out of that woman for doing that. That's not her choice to wear that. She's forced to. And, just the mere fact that we put our ships out there, he's basically saying, you will feel the full force of the United States if you don't change your ways. And that should probably be enough to convince them that we don't want to mess with it, especially if they don't get the support of China
Right.
and Russia like
Now,
they think they want to get.
question though. Between the Ukrainian war, the Israeli war, right, which was pretty much a war, and some other minor issues around the world, at what point is it considered kind of a bluff? In the sense of Trump's been in this position a couple times now, maybe not specifically with nuclear power, but there's a lot of times where we've said, hey, we're going to step in with Ukraine or Russia and not do a
Well,
peace
wait
deal.
a minute. It wasn't a bluff when he dropped those bombs at the nuclear facility. Okay. So he managed to disable that nation with one short term mission of direct hit power from the United States. And that stopped whatever what was going on in Israel to the extent that it was not Israel, but in the Middle East that was going on at
But
that time.
wasn't Israel the one that really did the damage to the nuclear powers in Iran? Right? Trump wanted to
I
get a
believe
peace deal going, and then Iran bombed them, getting rid of their nuclear facilities.
no, that was the United States that took out the what was it, Maghreb's
I think
that
that was
main
after, but it wasn't.
facility.
Okay, I'll take
No,
your
no,
word
no.
for
That
it.
was a US mission that they did a strategic attack to take those areas out and basically cripple. That's all Iran is, people. I mean, That's all they were.
Yeah,
Their only threat was that they were
nuclear.
nuclear. They're
Everything
not
else,
a
yeah.
world power, and oil. And the oil is not as big a deal for us anymore, especially now with Venezuela. We have other options. So that has changed the US the global dynamic quite a bit. And that happened with the first term with Drill Baby Drill. When
Go
we
baby
realized
drill.
how much we have on this side of the world, that really put the Middle East on their heels. Because you guys didn't grow up when we did in the 70s. When they cut us off, people were waiting 2 hours to get gas. Think about that, Chris. You had to go wait 2 hours outside of Harris Teeter to get your gas on a Sunday night for work that week. We
Wow.
went through that in this country because we were that tied to the Middle East. We couldn't do boo over there. That's why they had so many, we have to have the peace talks, we have to get together. They could never bring it around.
Right.
So a lot of things have crippled Iran. And ultimately, when you took out, now there's some who say, well, you didn't take out the full program. Probably not, but we crippled it or humbled them enough to understand that you're not a world power.
Do you think
That's
we're
why,
gonna? Oh, sorry.
Crazy Man wants the rocket in North Korea. That is a poor country, North Korea. Their people are he purposely starves them. They have no food, nothing, but they're a nuclear power. So you have to take them seriously because of that.
Right. Um, do you think that this is kind of a setup for another Maduro situation in the sense of just getting in there, getting a guy out, and then you kind of win by default? Like, is that kind of do you think that's going to be more of a play, especially during this administration?
I don't think so because I don't think the Ayatollah. Now, this is just my opinion. I don't think they're as entrenched. They're not. Like I said, I don't know how much China and Russia really cares. And remember, we talked about the paper tiger. I mean, we went and took Maduro out, and China really hasn't done
Not
much.
much, right? So that's why is Trump just going to start taking out these leaders in a sense? In the sense, not taking
Well,
out like killing them, but like what he did with Maduro, where now he's in a prison. So we haven't heard of him since the whole debacle.
well, just keep in mind part of the reason why we're having this mess in Ukraine is because the United States, under the Obama regime, decided to go in there and pick and choose who was going to lead Ukraine,
Mm,
right? One of the, by the way, most corrupt nations in the world, where a lot of people launder money and get involved in companies and whatnot that have always been very sketch. Ukraine's always been known for that. So we're in the mess with Ukraine because once again the US decided to do a quote unquote regime change, right? The color revolution, all that stuff. And it blew up in their faces basically by the time Trump got in there. And or I should say Biden, because that's when the shit hit the fan and Ukraine and Russia started a kinetic war of
mm,
fighting. So I don't think it's I think this president wouldn't be doing it if he didn't see the people in that nation also standing up and saying, we don't want this anymore.
right.
It's not stable for the nation. It's doing nothing for us. We want human rights, especially the women over there. We want to go back to college. We want to go get educations. They're not allowed to do that over there.
Right.
So I think it's just so backwards that it might just solve itself, especially when you see, it's always about the money. When the money's leaving the country, the Ayatollahs aren't too far behind. So maybe it's just enough to put this pressure in that area and to also signal to other people in that area, we're not going to fool around. We're not going to be all talk. If I say I'm going to put ships out there, I'm putting ships out there. So, once again, peace through strength.
We're gonna kind of stay on this route a little bit. I don't know if I have I think I do actually. Nope, not this one. We'll get to that in a second. Oh, do I not have it? Hold on. Oh, here it is. Jeez. Um, Speaking of authoritarianism in other countries, how about authoritarianism in our country? So right now they are going after people that criticize ICE online. It's a little. This title's a little misleading because it seems like they're going for the people that are outing ICE agents, like where they're going to be, their locations, what's going to happen. Really, like following their homes, like hunting these ICE agents down online. It sounds like that they're really trying to focus on stopping that rather than just people who criticize ICE agents. But freedom of speech is one thing. You're allowed to say what you want, but when you start doxing people in general, ICE agents or not, you got to stop that. And fortunately, a lot of these big tech companies, like I think it was Reddit, Google, Facebook, and Discord, are all giving information out on people who are give doxing. I'm going to use doxing these ICE agents. So I think that's kind of a good thing. But obviously, they have to disclose to the people that they're giving their accounts to the government. And I think it said they have 14 days to get a court appearance or whatever, which is
Mhm.
crazy. But I don't know. At what point is this one of those gray lines again? Freedom of speech versus um, like I don't know how much doxing there really is. I'm sure it's going on, but it's going to be interesting to see what the government considers
Well,
dangerous speech.
I think what's really First Amendment or not, right? It goes back to your basic decency of, hey, we're all on the same team here. Okay? Why are you doing this? Right? You're attacking federal agents who are doing their job. They're getting paid to do a job. What is it okay for me to dox teachers who abuse kids in the classroom? Can I post their whole family's address out there? They're doing their job. They may not be doing it well. You may have an issue.
Well, I
But
think
if you
can I pause you real fast? I think the only
Mhm.
difference though is that what you're talking about is something illegal, hitting kids, whatever. Like in the sense of a physical crime, right?
No, 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 no. Am I allowed to dox a teacher who teaches a kid that, some ideology I don't like?
No,
Okay? We're all on the same team here. These people are doing a job. If you don't like what they're doing, you play by the rules. You go
right,
protest your congressman. You go, write in the newspaper or put online. I don't like people going after illegals. No, they're playing dirty, is what they're doing.
right.
And they're taking it to a level where, unfortunately, the rest of the country is to say, okay, you want to play dirty? We'll start playing dirty on you. That's not how things should be going here. Do you realize, Stephen Miller, the one of the certain members of the president's cabinet, regardless of what you think, they can't live in their homes. They're living on army bases with their family because they can't be protected. This is Nobody talks about that. You won't see that on the mainstream media. These people are doing their job like other cabinet people did under Obama, Biden, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They didn't have to leave their homes. So the what disturbs me so much is it's like when you have a team and you have infighting on the team,
Team,
and
yeah.
half the team is playing dirty on their own fellow players. That's not what America's about.
I
So they
saw.
need to right, they
No.
need to nip this in the bud. We live in a digital age, but there are still lines that should not be crossed. Police officers do not deserve to be doxxed. Even the crooked ones out there, their family, they don't deserve that. We have a procedure. They don't like that procedure because it requires, convincing people that maybe they shouldn't be doing what they do. Well, guess what? That's why we have elections. That's why we live in America, to not play dirty. You're supposed to use the avenue that works. And if you play dirty, you should be prosecuted.
I saw a stat last week, I think it was. Now this was again, I can't fact check this one. This was just a stat that someone posted that looked pretty legit, but you never know, right? So people forget about Obama's ICE raids, right? When he was
Yeah.
kind of right. So the
Yep.
amount of incidents that we've had in Trump's ICE raids with ICE agents being in the wrong. So like for instance, the no, the Alex Purdy guy and the lady that we've already forgotten about the one that ran over the cop. I can't think of her name.
Good.
Good,
Robin Good.
Renee Good,
Renee
right?
Good.
So right, those are two big ones, but there's been a total of 8 under Trump's administration of something like that during Obama's. I forget if I said Biden or Obama's, but during Obama's ICE raids, 143 ICE problems, like in the sense of some of these were
Yeah.
yeah. And then the other thing was Obama was just going after anyone that was illegal, whereas Trump's going for illegal people that have criminal records first. Then eventually
Right.
we'll get to what Obama was doing, but let's get the guys that are part of cartels and MS-13 out first, right?
Yeah.
So it's just funny how they don't portray that at all in the media. So just wait till they
When
start getting rid of actual illegals, but go ahead.
when Clinton was in office, there was a big
Oh,
brouhaha over a young boy named Elian Gonzalez. The ICE agent, famous picture, won an award of an ICE agent in full tactical gear, opening a closet door with the gun in hand, with the not the father, but somebody holding this boy, because the Clinton administration wanted that boy out of this country. He was an American citizen through his mother, who died on a raft coming from Cuba. They took that boy, put him out back on the boat, and sent him back to, I believe it was his father or relatives in Cuba.
How could he
Okay,
be a citizen if the mother died on a raft coming over?
because it was beforehand. So somehow he was considered, it's been a while. So it was Clinton, but he was not an illegal in this country. His mother was coming, she was an American. I think she had gone to Cuba. She was coming back to America. I don't remember all the details. All I remember is they went out of this way and everybody cheered for this president. Get that kid out. One kid. Now he was representative, obviously, but anybody could Google that picture of the ICE agent in full gear in the person's house, gun in hand, with the scared child that they took and shipped back to, I believe the child's grandmother in America was fighting to keep him here
Mm.
because the mother was trying to bring him here. I think the father was still in Cuba. And because of the relationship with Cuba, and Cuba made a stink, and Clinton sent the kid back. So, how far we have come in this nation of now, Americans are throwing things at these ICE agents. That guy was a hero when he escorted that kid out of this nation, one little boy, and they made such a big stink about it. So, you can't, it's very hard to take any of this seriously. This is an orchestrated attack, protest, blah, blah, blah. We now know there's a bigger issue going on. There's fraud that's being protected with these illegals. There's voting issues that we're slowly finding out, finally coming to a head, stuff we knew in 2016 and 2020. Voting issues with keeping these people here, the gerrymandering, the census count. They will fall on their sword. They will go after American ICE agents and dox their family and use people to do that before they will allow these illegals to leave the country because they represent a power block.
I saw
That's the
a
bottom line.
I saw a meme of I saw a funny one because this is my transition joke too, but it was a picture of Bush, right? And it said his name has not shown up once in the Epstein files, so he just bombed Iran for the love of the game. I thought that was so.
Terrible.
It's him smiling, just bombed Iraq for the love of the game. Speaking of Epstein, so we're gonna do. This is an interesting one because no one's talking about this. Conveniently, it's when the Guthrie stuff is going on, right? So they're talking about Zorro Ranch. So this is his land in New Mexico. Have you seen anything on this? Because
I've heard about it.
yeah,
That's a bad
no
place too.
one is talking about it, right? It's so he owned this ranch that's the size of Manhattan, right? They were doing
What? That's not as big as Manhattan.
no the size of the like the land he owns on this ranch. It's 30 miles
Okay.
out, 30 minutes out of Santa Fe. It's the size of Manhattan. That's how much land he owned, right? It's
All right.
it's worth $27.5 million.
Okay.
New Mexico decided that they found in the files that there's a lot of allusion to a lot of dead bodies that were buried on this property of women, of people who were doing things. But they also found a lot of information on labs that he had there. He had a lot of researchers at this place
Oh, for God's sakes.
working on
This guy was a freak.
right. He was working on so this is what's interesting. Drugs used to alter memory, right?
Oh,
So
jeez.
they were kind of researching it, and it's all in, terms and special lingo. And one of them's this plant that grows upside down that has like a poison in it. It's a venom that causes short-term memory loss and basic. I want to call it kind of like not euphoria. It's not like a good drug. It basically dulls you and then short-term memory loss, right? But
Okay.
reading more into these, it sounds more like military weapons than it does things that you would do at a party, right? So now the whole question's opening up of, was he kind of like a military, like doing experiments for military? And so now it's basically, this is kind of the gateway point and why this is a big deal. It's the gateway that links like, hey, there might have been a government behind Epstein. Some people say Israel, some people say America. I'm just throwing that out there. But this is where it gets a little weird, right? This goes public, and New Mexico goes, okay, we like the idea. We're going to put in $2.5 million to excavate. Now, that's not nearly enough money to excavate and find the bodies of these people in that much area, that much space. So I
Mhm.
feel like it's like we'll try, wink, wink, you know, and that
Right.
kind of, I think that's rubbing people the wrong way a little bit. So I don't know. Again, it just seems like we're seeing things unfold now that the unraveling of things kind of scary, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that somebody like this could have that much power to last that long outside
That's a good
of
one.
any sort of um, vigilance, and anybody picking up on it, or worse, people knew about it and they allowed him to fester and grow and get into all these other areas, not just the child trafficking and the blackmailing and whatnot. So yeah, it seems like there's a lot more to possibly to Epstein's, but even when you go back and look, which we've talked about, his background, he was involved in military contracts, working with
Yeah,
Bear
he did
Stearns. He had
everything.
certain contacts around with the government, and if anything, he should be an example of individuals out there with
You,
that much
you
power and in those positions. They should be monitored to some extent,
yeah, like
or somebody should be overseeing it.
you can't get to that level without deep pockets and deep people you're working with. So I know Prince Andrew just got arrested, which is I
And a lot of
think
blackmailing, and
yeah, a
old
lot of
good
blackmail.
old-fashioned blackmailing, which has been part of politics since the days of Caesar and Rome, you
Right.
know?
But Prince Andrew got arrested, and I always love the mug shots that they have with Prince. Like, he's like, after 12 hours,
Dad said,
it's
he's
this,
like, "Was he on a gurney in an ambulance?"
yeah. But it's funny. For some reason, it's just a British thing. They always get pictures of the people in the car, and they're in the back like this, like. But he
Yeah.
had 12 hours of questioning about the island, and then he was released. So we'll see what comes of it. But what was I
No,
saying?
that's
Like,
not, I don't believe that's why he was arrested. He was not arrested recently over Epstein. He was arrested for peddling access to government
yeah.
officials in the UK. I don't think it was directly related to
Oh, I
Epstein
thought it
this
was to
time.
Epstein. Oh, okay.
No,
Well,
no.
either way, he's in a world of shit.
Yeah,
Prince Andrew. His name's
yeah.
been tarnished. I mean, I think you can argue he's probably the first person that we've seen really go down um, famous that was part of the Epstein list. Like, luckily, he's not that important to the monarchy, but if we were talking about Prince Charles, then we're, then we're
King
talking
Charles.
King Charles,
King Charles.
then we're having a
Yeah.
different argument here. But all right, so staying on the Jeff Epstein, whoa, Jeff Epstein,
Well,
Jeff
this is
Epstein
I had a
stuff.
couple stories that mirrored from last week because you had asked me
Right,
about Bannon,
Bannon. That's what
right?
I wanted to transfer to. We're on the same
Yeah, I
wavelength.
mean, I read through this and there's an interesting thing going on. So Bannon, he has the War Room, and he recently started something called War Room Texas. I haven't followed it too much, only because I've been sporadically listening to him now. But War Room Texas has started because there's a big um, uh, Senate race going on over there. Ken Paxton is the Attorney General. He's running against John Cornyn, who is what we consider a rhino, an old Republican, doesn't always side with the MAGA, whatever. There's a man by the name of La Savita. He's a Republican operative. He's working to get John Cornyn reelected. Bannon tends to side more with Paxton because Paxton tends to follow the Trump agenda more. So many things that Bannon had discussed, and they highlight things in the conversation. In full disclosure, Raheem Kassan, who wrote this for the Impulse, the National Impulse, he has often been on the War Room years ago when it first came out. He knows Bannon very well. They've done things together. They don't always agree on stuff, but his point was a lot of the things that the media alludes to, like, oh, Bannon was talking with Epstein about having Trump remove 25th Amendment. Well, you know what? He always talked about that. And Trump would say they're going to come after you with the 25th Amendment, not impeachment. And he talked about that with Epstein, and he made it seem like, let's talk about that, as though he wanted Epstein's opinion. So many of the things that they were claiming that, oh, Bannon was talking about this with Epstein and trying to get him to side with him, um, Bannon was open about it. He was saying it, and the response from Bannon was basically, we'll know in 2026 when we see the outcome. But he says, listen, I was doing a documentary on the guy. I was talking to him in a way that I wanted to uncover information from him, get his feel for stuff. You are working with, as we've learned, a really egomaniac, bright guy, but an egomaniac who's involved in a lot of criminal activities now, as we just discussed. And you're trying to get on his quote unquote good side to get him to reveal information. And Bannon says, that they recently wanted my tapes to review when he committed suicide. I gave him everything. I'm not hiding anything. So that my take on it is that from the amount of time I've listened to Bannon, if someone's trying to make a case like he was working with Epstein or was a friend of Epstein, Epstein tried him to tried to get him to go on the Lolita Express. He's never been on that. So he says,
I
and no
don't
one
think,
can say he was on it.
but I think the issue was the email that Bannon said, let's try and clear your name. He hasn't really addressed that, which is kind of damning. Because
I disagree. You're not going to go in there and say, let's talk. Hey, let's talk about all the things you've done wrong, or let's talk about all the cases against you. If you're interviewing somebody like that, your approach is more, you're not going to turn them off, but they love to talk about themselves. So you
Right.
tell me what's going to make it better for you. What do you think?
Sure, I get that.
What's the misconceptions people have about you, right?
Yeah, I think the
See,
problem though is maybe the way it was said or whatever, but it makes it sound like Bannon knew what was going on that island, and he's saying, "How can we fix your reputation?" Right? Because this is post the 2008. I think it was 2008.
Because everybody knew what was going on in that island. That's what the frustration was with Epstein. Nobody did anything about it, especially somebody who's been in politics in Washington, D.C. for decades now. They knew what was going on. The frustration for a lot of these individuals because they knew people were getting blackmailed.
Right. Yeah. Again, I understand the argument. It's just still a tough look, and that mainstream media is not gonna cover this. So I think like that Bannon's.
Let me go back to what I was saying. So he comes out with War Room Texas. Now everybody's piling on Bannon, obviously, because he's taking on what's going on in Texas. They don't want to flip. They want Cornyn to stay in Texas, meaning the liberal media. They'd love a Democrat in there, but that may not happen. Somebody like Cornyn is somebody who's going to work against the Trump agenda. Well, now you have somebody like Bannon come along and, oh, look at that. Bannon did an interview with Epstein. Now it's time let's hold Bannon out. The point of Raheem's article is it a little coincidental that they're trying to hang Bannon, a guy who just started a whole very popular podcast on how are we going to save Texas, right? They start that. All of a sudden, they're bringing things, and they're trying to use against him things that he's always said openly about Trump with the 25th Amendment. He talked to the president about it. They're going to do this. And he's doing a documentary, which he's done before, nothing new with Bannon, on an individual. He's not going to go and attack the guy because he's going to get Zippo out of it, right?
Right.
So I just think that you got to keep it in context, and there's you always got to look at the understory, especially with media. There's always more to the story there. It's never just what's on the surface. You got to scratch your head sometimes and say, hey, why are they going after this guy all of a sudden?
Right.
Is there something else going on? And sure there is.
You know what drives me up a wall, though? Not Bannon, but another shooting. Did you see this one in Rhode Island?
Yep.
Did you watch?
Yep.
Okay, guys. Normally, I wouldn't bring up shootings, right? Unless it was like a really big one. But again, another trans shooter that they end up saying, oh, bullying, oh, something was going on in their life. Again, let's talk about all of the drugs this person was taking. I should have saved it because I saw it early in the week, but it was all the drugs that this person was on for hormone changing. I was like, holy shit. So clearly a woman, right? I don't know if you saw. Now, this one's crazy because it's just at like a hockey game. And allegedly, the people, so 2 dead, shot himself, and then 3 injured. They think it was his family members.
It was his ex-wife.
Ex-wife, okay, there you go.
Who one article said was his cousin.
Nice.
Don't know that full story. And I believe one of his children was shot.
And then the other 3 injured. Thank God for that bystander who stopped the guy from continually shooting. But then the guy had another weapon on him, and that's when he killed himself. So, hey, when are we going to start doing something about this? Now it's getting a little crazy, right? These mass shootings are it always goes back, and I'm not a I told you so person, but it goes back to the whole Nick Fuentes and Piers Morgan debate, where Piers Morgan's like, how many are white? And it's like, well, hold on, how many are on trans hormones and now are committing these monstrosities? So
Yep.
we have Canada now. We have this one. We had the Vegas shooter. We had the Vegas casino. Right, I believe that was in Vegas. It's been a while. But
Tennessee,
yeah.
Uvalde. Yeah.
So when are we going to open our eyes a little here and go, hey, maybe these drugs are finally not good?
Well, versus the media, that's just their goal is to make sure you don't make the connection
Yeah.
that they're transgender.
Gun
Don't
person.
you dare make that connection.
Yeah.
You know.
Calling someone a gun person when they just killed, giving them any respect is ridiculous. But yeah, I wanted to bring that one up.
Let me say, I saw a really weird thing about these transgender males mostly. How many of them did their transgendering and they look like their wives, their ex-wives. They put pictures next to each other.
Wow, that is weird.
It's really, maybe it just happened to be a handful of them that they posted, but apparently even this guy looked a lot like the ex-wife. So they transgender to look like, I guess, the female that they identify the most with. But I maybe if psychiatry actually becomes reputable again, they'll start looking at that phenomenon.
I'm going to take it the other way, though. And this is where I am going to get a little democratic. How does a guy like that get a gun?
Oh,
right?
He shouldn't.
Yeah. So I'd love to see when they got this gun. And I think another thing that we don't really talk about, I was thinking.
And by the way, it's Rhode Island, not a conservative state. I'm
right.
sure they have tons of gun laws, right?
So that's my first question. Second question is, do we have laws? Like, if you go, like, gun license, right? You get your gun license. Does it have to be renewed? I don't know much about gun licenses, but does it have to be renewed every, like, 5 years or something?
I believe it depends on the state and whatever their
because the reason I
requirements
ask is, let's say this guy got the gun 10 years ago in his gun license, transitions 2 years later. If you change your name and stuff, that's got to be on your gun license, right? Would his gun license say Bob?
You'd have to go get another gun license.
So at what point, if you're transitioning, they should, by law, take that gun away because it's not the same person owning that gun, right? Technically,
right?
On paper. Right. So that's another one. That's one of those things where I will say there has to be a crackdown on the gun usage, especially if you're going to start taking crazy medications. Like I should say this: if you own a gun and then all of a sudden 2 years later you get diagnosed with depression, you have to be on antidepressants. We know what that does to your brain. So I don't know if you take away the gun license, but gun license, but that's something that should be in a database.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd have to go back and look at that because I have a license, and I think there might be some ruling where you're supposed to update if you go on medications, because technically you're not supposed to. You fill out a form and you're supposed to list medications or if you have any issues. Again, every state has different requirements.
I have to ask a police officer
that
one.
If you're caught lying on that form, you're in a lot of trouble, especially if you use that gun and slaughter your family at a hockey rink. So, but obviously that's the least of these people's issue, their gun license, right?
Yeah. So,
I mean, I've said this before. The phenomenon of now is the transgender, right? Obviously, there's more triggers societally. Many of them are seeing how far they can push things because they're getting away with it. But I'll go back and say, go all the way back to Columbine with the first shooting. I want to know what those kids were on in their lifetime.
Yeah.
I think that might be a more than not common thread with all these shooters. It's not the guns. They all have that. That's my guess. I'm going to throw that out there, and maybe someday science will catch up with the world and stop talking about the gun and start looking at, he was a perfectly normal kid. He was the best athlete in school. All that may be true before he shot everybody up. What was he on when he was 5 years old and 6 years old and 7 years old that could have impacted him when he was in high school?
Yeah. All right, let's move on to something Disney related. This one was yours. Disney sends cease and desist letter to Chinese ByteDance to stop use of copyright characters in new Seedance 2.0. So we talked about Seedance last week. Seedance is the AI that ByteDance
brought it up. Right. So, well, so we talked about that. Oh, when people going to start suing, and now look at this. Disney's like, yeah, we're suing. You can't use Mickey Mouse. You can't do our Disney productions. I think they did one for Star Wars, and they quote unquote improved it. Whoever C dances said we improved it, and they said, you know what, you can't do that. Cease and desist. You can't use our copyright. So when we say, oh, what's going to happen? People have to start suing. Well, maybe Disney's going to open up the door to that and say, hey,
It,
you know what? There's a line.
it's gonna happen, but then you have to train an AI to say this face that everyone's asking for, you can't use it. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna make similar people. Or let's say you take my face and just slightly change the color of my teeth or maybe my
Hmm.
pupils, for instance. Is that the same name, image, likeness? Like if
Hmm.
I reverse Mickey Mouse's colors, does that fall under that? So now we're in that gray line again. So
Well, you have that all the time with music. How many musical artists get sued because their music is too close?
to
Not the
another.
exact, but too close to someone else's. And it's subjective. Sometimes
And
you win, sometimes you
yeah,
don't.
and from a music perspective, I think Ed Sheeran kind of effed that one up in the sense of if you know how he got out of that because he got sued for
Yeah.
right. He just goes up there with a guitar and plays like 50 different songs with 4 chords, which great. Like it's cool you could do that with music and we get it, but also all you did was just blur the line even more.
Right. Or, even though you may not have intentionally done it,
Right.
some people don't intentionally steal music.
Right.
It's too close to this original one, so you got to give up the money for it, or
Yeah.
you got to give up producing it. So yeah, I mean, it's going to happen with AI, and Disney's going to start. They're the first ones that I know of who are going to start saying, "Hey, there's a line," and everybody knows Mickey.
Yeah. Well, I would bet right now that there's I was talking about this with someone the other day. I forget who, but cartoons specifically now. So not even movies. I didn't even think of how fast cartoons are going to get destroyed in the sense
Yeah,
of you're not going to have drawers anymore. You might have a storyboard team, but
yeah,
hey, make this is what it looks like. Take this picture that one guy drew for $100,000, turn it into a full show, and now you have
right.
seasons, and you can write a storyboard and all that. But yeah. So I it's gonna move fast, and I don't think copyright's gonna stop it. I love this idea that if I copyright my name, image, likeness, like it's not gonna get used. It might not get used by
Well,
Hollywood, but
right. I mean, and this in particular, well, we're saying Mickey Mouse, but I think it was actually a clip from Star Wars, one of the Star Wars that Disney owns that they manipulated to make it better or whatever to do an AI version. Star
oh
Wars is what it is. It's same thing with Mickey Mouse. He is what he is. You've seen fake Mickey Mouses. We've seen those. There is a
yeah,
difference when somebody tries to fake a Mickey Mouse or they try to get around the copyright and it looks cheesy. It's not Mickey Mouse. I To segue to our other story, I did the AIDR. AI
AI,
didn't
yeah,
read. And the person had a comment. They were like, you know what? Why am I wasting my time reading something that when you write something, it's your own perspective? It comes from you, it's your individualized thought. Why am I wasting time with some amalgamation from some AI thing? And, I totally agree with that. It's not organic, it's not real. Maybe have some valid if you want to read it, whatever. But there's something to be said for, if I read something that somebody writes, I'm impressed by that. If you tell me, well, this was AI generated, I'm not as impressed.
right.
It's just a computer thing. Okay, a million people could generate this off their computer. What's original about that?
So
Nothing.
speaking of AI, this is kind of a side note. Remember yesterday I was having credit card problems with Amazon.
Yeah.
So today it came out that Amazon's new AI bot saw that the coders who had spent years coding to make Amazon work, like
Yeah.
they just deleted all their content and rebuilt it from
Okay.
scratch because they were like it's inadequate.
Oh,
so
wow.
so and then Mark Zuckerberg just said, well, now he's going to start getting rid of full teams because we have an AI that does all the work that one team does in a day.
Right.
So again, it's just a matter of how long until entire industry. I know we must sound like a broken record because we talk about this
Yeah.
every time, but
Yeah.
every week I feel like we're getting closer and closer. Like there's
Yeah.
some new article of, hey, we don't need you anymore. And YouTube, props to YouTube, because I was having this debate with this viewer the other night, or last night on stream. Not really a debate, but for all the flaws YouTube has, it definitely does do a good job. Like they're deleting entire channels that are just AI. They're like, if this isn't
Right.
original content,
Right.
like get it out. We don't need it. So I
Yeah.
kind of like that, but at the same time, I mean, there is a lane for it. I do understand that AI is going to be needed, but it's kind of just the way that we're going is a little.
Do they need to talk to me from the dead? Because my last story was
Oh,
Meta
that's funny.
gets
I
a
had that
patent,
same one and I got rid of it. I was like, we
yeah,
don't need
to
that one.
allow
Yeah.
Facebook users to post while on a break or post-mortem.
Yeah.
They'll take Pancake
Now
and
hold
they'll use
on.
his scripting and whatnot, and Pancake can talk to us from the dead someday
So
and give us
allegedly, they have no idea of doing this. They don't want to do this, but they bought the patents for it. How's that make sense? So they patented this this ability, and now they say they're not going to use it, but we'll see.
Well, according to this article, a woman did it of her father for his victim statement and used it in court. And the judge, whether that influenced or not, wound up imposing the harshest sentence on the person.
Wow.
The father was killed, and she created an AI of him doing his victim statement.
Huh.
And that was admissible in court as a victim statement. It wasn't evidence.
Right.
But, a victim can make a statement about how their life was changed because of what happened to them. This man was killed.
Huh.
She did an AI, and according to this article, they used it in court, and the judge imposed the harshest sentence on it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Maybe he or she was going to do that anyhow.
Anyway, just wanted to see it. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. I didn't know that went that far, but yeah, I don't know. Like I'm always a little skeptical of that one because I remember the first time we heard of this was right. Kanye West got Kim Kardashian that AI many years ago of their dead father, right, talking to them. And that was kind of the first instance of this. But if you can rebuild a person, even though it's not them, like I think, right, the movies are like, oh, you're going to take your consciousness and put it in a robot and you can live forever. I think realistically, it's just going to be a copy of you. You're long gone, where now there's an AI that's like you, but isn't you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's kind of creepy. It's like having a doll, have your grandmother come back and talk to you.
Yeah.
And she says all the things she said to you when you were alive. And maybe it's short-term comforting to say, oh, isn't that nice? There's my grandma. And she sounds like my grandma. And she's talking like my grandma. She looks like my grandma. But it's not your grandmother.
I'll let you know for the views, Mom. I'm going to have to do a podcast with an AI version of you when you're gone.
Okay, fine. Right
just
ahead.
for one. That's what I mean. Your name, image, and likeness. I can't really see that. I can't. I don't.
It's like that. We're literally copying every dystopian movie you've ever seen. It's so unoriginal that it's disturbing. In that, the basic human instinct to sit there like a moron and say, "Oh, look, there's grandma on the screen."
Yeah.
And future generations have been programmed to accept that because you guys are so in tune to the whole social media thing or the whole digital thing that they will actually start to believe or evolve to believe that whatever's on the screen must be true.
I think so. I feel like if it's okay to do if you can separate yourself from. Like, you can't let it replace that person. So what I mean by that is if grandkids want to see their grandmother who's long dead, this is what your grandmother was like in an AI that has been made based on her social media on Facebook or whatever, which can only be so good, right? But you have to be able to separate.
Movies, right? I don't need that. I have movies of actually her.
Yeah, but you might not have that. I think the problem is more and more people aren't doing that. Also, the amount of data, because unfortunately there's people out there that put their whole lives on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, that there's probably a better amount of data there than videos of like a wedding day or whatever. Like for me, if I died tomorrow, God forbid, there's enough YouTube stuff of me out there that you could easily make an AI. I probably have more info on how to rebuild myself than anyone else, arguably, in the world.
What I think is creepy, too, about it is when they start extrapolating, all right, this is Chris at this age. This is what he would have looked like.
Yeah, that's another one, too.
To me as a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old. You don't know that. You have no idea. It's like we're going to eliminate the whole God issue.
Right.
You just say this is what was going to happen in 10 years to Chris. I have no idea.
Right. You'd also have to use raw footage because I remember we talked about like Thomas Jefferson coming back to life through AI. using
Right.
books and texts of what other people essentially wrote about him to
Right.
create the ultimate teacher on Benjamin Franklin. I did this. But when you don't have video evidence of them talking and not enough data, and you're just pulling from books and history opinions and whatever, now you have a
Right.
pseudo version of a person that just doesn't work that way, right? So,
Right. And I
yeah.
don't know that it's trusted because I recently saw the thing that, like, we all know Thomas Jefferson. There's a debate if he actually was the father of all these slave children
Right.
by this woman. We were led to believe this. This was fact. There's no question about it for, I don't know, most of my lifetime. And now people are shining a light on the fact that, hey, wait a minute, that may not be the case. So imagine if you created a whole AI person of Thomas Jefferson based on what everybody thought at the time. Well, we know now just from our own social media. It's half the stuff we're reading that's supposedly history and true is not. It's made up.
Well, I just saw that the Underground Railroad.
Yeah,
You know it's not real. Like that whole story is just made up.
I saw something recently about Harriet Tubman
Yeah.
that she wasn't the great
She didn't
person that
exist.
she wasn't just. I don't know if she didn't exist. There is a record of this individual, but it's not the same story as, they lionize it. And they same thing they
Right.
do with George Washington. He was the greatest thing, and he was just
Right.
general, and he was always walked on water kind of thing. They were human beings. They made mistakes. He had slaves. Oh my God. But to base a whole person and make it into like, well, this is literally who he was based on what we knew at the time. What did you know at the time? What are you basing it on?
Right.
What they talked about at the local pub that he had a wife who was a slave person? I'm not going to base, that's how we're going to
Right.
generate
On
our future
rumors.
story.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Because you know why too? You're creating a whole individual. It's one thing when you read about somebody in the history books, it's in the context of who he was in what role he played in the history of our nation, right? When you're trying to talk to me about him as a human being, I didn't need to know, well, I mean, you do, it's important. I don't need to know what went on in Thomas Jefferson's life to appreciate what he did to further our nation, right? Just like I don't need to know what happened in Obama's life to know what his contribution
right.
was as president, right? If you're going to start going into the whole person to create some AI, do you really know those details? Do you really know all his personal stuff? You may never know all of it to create a whole person for me to say, well, this is who he was. So this is how he's going to be going forward. I'm not buying it. I just don't think human nature being what it is, you can't possibly know the whole person and every skeleton in their closet to be able to create what's a legitimate individual.
Yeah. I don't think you could do it either. Unless you have an insane amount of real life data. So like as I said, I have enough YouTube videos out there you could definitely do it. But like if you were to do Brad Pitt and use all of his movies, you're going to get Brad Pitt movies, you're not going to get Brad Pitt, right?
Well, and I'm not going to get all of you either. Oh, you're streaming and whatnot. I'm not going to get you as a full-rounded person. I'm going to get you as
Well,
in your role as
that comes down to the question of how much data does it take to rebuild me, right? Is the amount of content I have on YouTube enough, or is it like filling the gaps of? Do you see what I'm saying? Because right, so
Yeah, I don't
I
think
thought
it's,
about
I don't think
what's
that.
crazy is I was thinking if in 2 years, Mom, right, doing YouTube, then half my life would be on YouTube. How crazy is that? Right?
But
18
that's
years.
not all of you, Chris.
Right.
That's just one aspect of your life. Even though you talk about other things
Right.
about your life when you do it,
Things
that's
that you
not the whole
physically
you.
do.
And
Right.
that's my point. There's things you don't talk about your life. And
Right.
you're more forthcoming than a lot of people. So there's no way somebody can give me, if you were gone tomorrow, somebody can't say to me, well, we recreated Chris based on everything on YouTube.
Right.
Okay, that's nice.
I
That
would
was you
like
on
to
YouTube.
see what parts would be missing, you know? So I think a sick project would be if I were to recreate myself as if I died tomorrow, right? And see where it's at and then see how different it would be from me, like what it would say, what it wouldn't, you know?
Sure, and that was my point. Where are they going to get that missing information from?
Right.
Well, they're going to talk to me, your brother, your father, whatnot, people who knew you, but
But
they
then
may
it's
have a very different opinion
right.
of you than what you really were. That's
Right.
all I'm saying, and that's why AI is not really organic. It's sort of like a compilation of other people's thinking about you and filling in those gaps. Those are major gaps. This isn't all of you, what you do
Right.
online. That's just one portion of you.
Yeah. So All right, mother. Well, we just did an hour 14. It's already 4:30, and you and I both have things to do. So I have to get ready, and I'm
We've
sure
had enough of each other.
Yeah, we've had enough of each other for the week. So on that note, we will end it there. The only things I have to promote, obviously the podcast last week, we played a game called Chris Soul, which is going to be played this week. Coming up, we have. Oh, I totally forgot until just now. We have the new Resident Evil coming out. The newest one comes out this week. So about time. What else? And then the Neo 3 walkthrough, the Lego build. I've been posting as much as possible. Again, I've been so swamped with stuff. It's been kind of difficult. I also realized that this is the problem with editing multiple things and recording so many things is I ended up editing the wrong episode. So I did the future one, and now I was supposed to post one today, but I was like, oh, crap, I forgot to do the one before. So now they're out of order, so I have to push that one. Whatever. Mad about it. So besides that, social media, promo code, Streamlinks, Discord, and hopefully I will see you guys on Monday, and you will see Mom next week. So, laters.